I'm Al Cameron. I'm the Director of Communication Media Relations for the CCA. In my previous life, I made a living and at times was accused of stealing money as a hurling journalist for various publications, the Kamloops Daily News, followed by the Calgary Herald. Got to cover a lot of events and had a few opinions over those times as well that may have rubbed people the wrong way, but I stick by them. And this was obviously a very common topic because I was covering a sport that even within my own newsroom when I was employed as a journalist was looked down upon, even though I knew differently, but there is that perception out there, isn't there? And that's what we're going to address here today. You know, a couple things come to mind immediately. The cool factor, both from a club level and then a high performance level. At a club level, and I don't think I'm saying anything that hasn't occurred to everybody in this room at one time or another, but just making going out and hurling a fun experience for everybody. I took my kids bowling on Friday night, and rock and roll music, lights all over the place, young people, lots of young people, and I appreciate it's not just that easy because anybody can go and hunt a bowling ball. It's not that easy to walk into a curling club and throw a curling rock, but I think there's lessons to be learned in terms of making that experience a lot more fun for everybody. One thing I've always thought about at the high performance level, at our elite level, is one of the problems with this sport is that we're too nice. In my game, in journalism, what sold papers was stories, and what led to good stories was tension. And I'll say that the best curling story that's been written over the last 15 to 20 years was about the rivalry between Randy Ferbey and Kevin Martin. And it was genuine, right? They disliked each other, and it got people talking about the sport. Tension creates people talking. Rivalry creates people talking. And God love curlers. They're the nicest people on earth. And sometimes I wonder if maybe too nice to be a real interesting story. It's not enough just to go out there and make double takeouts. You gotta create tension. And I go back. Anybody in here was at the Briar Edmonton? Raise your hands. Do you remember the Friday night draw or Thursday night draw when Glenn Howard was trying to throw a rock and the entire crowd was getting on his case because they needed him to miss and for Kevin Martin to get into the playoffs? And what did Glenn Howard do? He stood up and waved at the crowd, right? It was electric. It was electric. And anybody in there could feel chills down their spine of how electric that moment is. And I think that's the kind of stuff that this sport needs, really, to get people talking, to get the people in the demographic that we want talking. It's tension, it's rivalries, it's a little sandpaper on the ice. I think that's my 2 cents.
I don't know about sandpaper on the ice, but my name is Darrell Ell, and I'm a Competitions and Development Officer with the World Curling Federation. And in a former life, I was a curling club manager for 13 years at the Lethbridge Curling Club and did a bunch of coaching and other stuff during that time period. And one of the things I agree with Al 100%, curlers are some of the friendliest people in the world. If you're transferred to a new position, and I found this in Canada and I found it around the world, if you're transferred to a new position anywhere and you don't know anyone, walk into the curling club in that community. You're going to be welcomed with open arms, they're going to sit down with you, they're going to have a drink, you're going to talk about what you've played in, who you've played against, and inevitably you're going to know somebody that these other people know. Now, the point that I dislike of it is the next point, and while we're friendly and super friendly, the next comment you make is, oh, and by the way, I'm looking to get on a curling team. And all of a sudden, people are looking at you a little bit differently because that would mean then that I would have to break up with these people that I've been playing with for 25 years. And while I appreciate and understand that you want to play together with your friends, because I'm just as guilty as the rest of you, but when I go back to when I'm playing golf, and I play in a Saturday morning men's group or whatever, I show up. I sign up my name, names are drawn out of the hat, I put with the group. That's some of the best golf that we've had because there's a little rivalries that you build up within the group. And the other one is an example that I'll use is we started a golf and curling swinging sweeps field that we had, and I made a commitment after 2 years that I'm going to play with someone else. And after 2 years, I changed teams, and some of the other people followed that same format. And what that field became was like a family reunion. So I'm there with my new teams, I'm there with my former teammates, and it was just like one big family all together. So the thing that I dislike, if I want to say it again, or where I think curling needs to improve, is we need to look at splitting up our teams, bring in some new players, and watch the numbers grow. It'll be crazy.
Great, thank you.
Hi, my name is Geerkens. I run a company called Switchgrain Media, and for the last 4 years we worked with the CCA to produce the SparkGirl.ca commercials. You probably recognize this guy over here as one of the stars of those commercials. Yeah. The goal of these to begin with, from the first iteration where we had Johnny and Hammer Chow in there, was to make these commercials likable and watchable for like older curlers, not just older curlers, but experienced curlers, people who do curl, as well as people who don't curl. So you could look at it and you could see that there's this guy who just started curling 6 weeks ago who could feel like a pro just by making one shot. And that's sort of like a tie-in with golf. You were talking about golf. Everybody who's played golf at all knows when you take one swing and you hit that right swing, it's going to feel perfect. That's what we were trying to get that feeling across with these commercials. So we wanted to find a way to make that look cool. And then I also bring another aspect of this panel, which there's probably very few people in here, is I'm actually not a curler myself. It works well within our company because my business partner, Josh, over here, is a very experienced curler. So he reins me in as far as curling perspective goes, and I'm the enemy now. But it also works from a perspective of when we're producing this commercial, I can look at it and say, this is something that would make me want to curl, or this is something that looks cool to somebody who isn't actually fully in the community. As far as why it's not cool and why I'm still not a curler, and I think both of these guys brought up good points, is I'm a busy person. There's a lot of busy people here. I have a lot of commitments outside. And my problem with getting involved in curling is I can't just go do it. I can't just go curl on a Thursday night with my girlfriend because I just want to try it, like with bowling or something like that. And I know some people say it's easier said than done. You can't just, you know, it's a sport that you can't do that with. But my question is, why not? Like maybe tomorrow you can't do it, but a couple of years down the road, what if the mixed doubles game was a thing, like on Thursdays, and people could go out with 2 couples and learn to play the game that way, with just 4 people, and be able to go out and just give it a shot? Because right now what I have to do is I either have to wait for our Learn to Curl seminar, which, you know, was the first week of October, so if I miss it, I might have to wait for 3 months or something like that. Or the other thing I have to do is I have to join a team and commit myself for the entire winter, which is also tough. And I'd like to do it, but it's intimidating. And not that the people are intimidating, none of you are intimidating, but it's intimidating to commit that much time and then look like a jerk for not following through on it or something like that. So being able to find a way that we could have, you know, an easier game to get into is one of the things that I think would make curling a little more cool.
I think a lot of people brought up some good points about cool isn't the right word, relevant might be the right word, desirable might be the right word. Do people have a desire to go curling? I think we talked a lot about access. That was one of the points that I wanted to bring up, was how easy it is to do, and it's not as easy as people make it sound like it is.
I enjoyed the discussion on access and like getting new curlers into the curling clubs. I found that a lot of everyone in the room had really, really good ideas, and I think what's important is that they share those ideas, and like a lot of people had pieces of good ideas, and some were successful and some were successful but not as successful. I think that there should be a place where they can all talk and discuss and maybe massage into a larger program that actually will work for everyone.
A lot of the great stuff was talking about how maybe it wasn't so much making it cool, but making it relevant. Because I mean, obviously we think it is cool. So how do we reach people? How do we make it relevant in their lives? People that aren't curling right now. And I thought that was great, and I think people got a lot of good ideas to take from there.